Good morning, good afternoon. This is Josh Bailey. I am the DNH uh, Ubiquiti sales specialist. We are here to talk about the Ubiquiti Unified full stack solution, unlocking business growth, and meeting your customers' needs. Um, we are here to discuss with Craig, who is the Senior Associate Strategy of Ubiquiti, and he is going to take over with us now and discuss more about the UniFi Enterprise solutions.
Awesome. Hey, everybody. Thanks for having me here today. Like Josh said, my name's Craig Whitella. I'm going to talk more about I'm going to start off by just giving a quick overview of the UniFi platform in general, some of the benefits, kind of our principles when we develop our product and new features. I'm going to move into this new enterprise program that we have, the partner program, kind of how DNH and us all interact, what it means for you. We'll segue in to talk about some of these enterprise products generally, some of the stuff that we have coming out, why we're so invested in them, and then we'll move on to some new things that we have coming in UniFi Network 9.0. I think that these are going to be a lot of cool things and kind of give some more insights into our general strategic direction as we go into 2025. Then at the end, we'll touch on a couple of quick case studies, and then we'll have some time for an open Q&A so we can kind of just talk more. But even though we're going to have a Q&A, if you ask some questions in the channel, we'll be periodically pausing. So, we can cover it on the relevant slides. So, yeah, without further ado, let's go in. Just starting with an overview. I'm assuming most people here have probably heard of us, but our whole thing is that we're an all-in-one IT platform, right? A lot of people know us from our WISP radios, obviously moving into Wi-Fi access points, but we've really come a long way, especially over the past couple of years with physical security. I'd say that's probably our fastest growing area. But the whole thing is we do the whole gambit of solutions. And I think that that's one thing that makes us so special. Quick background on exactly how our platform works. So ultimately, we have UniFi. UniFi is the name of the software platform. But one thing I really want to emphasize is that we have flexibility as to where UniFi runs. We're a hybrid cloud platform, which ultimately means that you choose where you want UniFi to run. We have what's called UniFi consoles and cloud gateways, where the UniFi application runs on-premise on it. But we also have support for, third-party hosting if you want to host it in the cloud, on your own server, heck, on a laptop. And we have, our official hosting version of running UniFi in the cloud. But what I really want to emphasize here is that no matter where UniFi is running, we do give you access to a centralized cloud management application there. So that's our UniFi Site Manager, as we call it. So unifi.ui.com. Big thing is it doesn't matter where you're running UniFi, it's going to work the same on there. You set it up, it's going to pop open on unifi.ui.com. You can add admins, add permissions, kind of do that whole gamut of things. In terms of our core principles here, the first one is going to be top-notch price to quality hardware. Our goal is not to be the cheapest on the market, right? But we bring a lot of value with our products, right? Everything is very thoughtful, from the actual product design to the packaging to the entire unboxing experience. When you feel the stuff in your hands, you can feel that it's very robust. It's just quality and it's very thoughtful. So that's really important because we want to bring value on a number of different levels. That other value point is going to be our customer-centric business model. So this really revolves around, a license-free structure. We don't tether devices to any licensing server. We don't force you to buy subscriptions. Everything that we do is designed to have, license-free models there. The last point, and I think most importantly, is going to be that innovative software design. We're built, and our founder and CEO came from Apple, so you're going to see a lot of similar principles to Apple in our software. We ultimately want to design this to just be really easy to use and intuitive. As you go click in, things just work. It looks good. It feels good. Things are zippy, right? Like we want the management experience to be very pleasant for you as the admin. And if you have any users on, you're sharing cameras or even, door access, we want it to be just as easy and seamless for that actual end user as well. These core principles, I think, translate into a couple of very specific benefits that solve a lot of the traditional pain points in IT. First is that ease of use, right? We have our own, 2-day crash course certification program to kind of give you the full view of UniFi. But the best part is that's not needed at all. We design our product with a real emphasis on that setup and initial experience with the product. So a lot of people, you just plug the stuff in, devices pop up. It says, click here to adopt, right? Everything is very guided and things are placed in a very intuitive location. That kind of transitions to our next point, which is going to be actionability. We want initial settings that just work. But if something's not working, we want to alert you to it and tell you things that you can reasonably do to fix that, right? If Wi-Fi clients are having a poor experience, maybe high latency, we want to tell you and we want to give a reason, right? Is it because of multiple APs using the same channels? Is it because one client is consuming a lot of that airtime? Whatever it might be, we want to tell you not only that there's a problem, but hey, here's some recommendations you can do to fix the problem. These next two, scalability and high availability, I'm showing them here together because I think that you are going to see this becoming a prominent theme, especially with some of these new enterprise SKUs. In terms of scalability, we're going to be covering both wide and tall enterprise environments, meaning, not just massive single site deployments, but very large, multi-site deployments as well. So we're scaling in both of those manners. High availability, right? Especially these enterprise products, we're designing them for just layers and layers and layers of redundancy so that there's going to be, no single points of failure on that network. And again, no brainer. The key here is this is going to be license free, right? It's a very customer centric business model. We don't want to gouge any prices. You buy your hardware, it belongs to you, and that's the end of the story. So with the background out of the way, I want to take a minute and kind of explain more about this partner program and some of the benefits to you. First and foremost, this partner program is going to give you more profitability, right? Ultimately, this is centered around this new enterprise lineup of products. They're going to have a higher, entry point MSRP value, but through this deal registration system that we have, you're going to be getting about 20 to 30% of discounts on those qualified enterprise SKUs. Pre-sales availability, we're working very closely with D&H, making sure that they have training material. They're equipped to answer, your pre-sales questions on that. But we also have a direct line of communication. We have an email address, which I'll share here. But the key thing is we have a very set process flow from D&H as well. So you don't have to change up how you operate, right? If you're working through your traditional rep and they have a question, they'll have their route so that when things need to get to us, they're going to get to us and we're going to make sure that you're helped out. Highest end hardware and functionality. Once again, we're designing these enterprise products to be very high functioning, highly available, highly redundant, and it's going to have some exclusive features. And these are going to be available through, a limited supply of dealers. So D&H, whom we're working with, they're going to have that. And ultimately what that means is more product availability from you because they're not, going through all sorts of different channels and distribution networks. My particular favorite here, because I work very closely on the product design and development side, continuous product improvement. We want to use this pre-sales channel not only to help you from, this design and architecting standpoint, but we want to also get your feedback and understand the pain points. Where is UniFi working? Where is UniFi not working? Is something giving you difficulty, right? This gives us the opportunity to connect with you directly and continue to improve our products. And frankly, sometimes even in a way maybe that you didn't see coming, right? You might think that hey, we have to do this one certain thing to fix this problem, but when we hear it, we try to think outside the box, and I think oftentimes we come up with some pretty cool and innovative solutions that do that in an even better way. So obviously, deal registration is something new for us, and we're going to keep on improving this process. So obviously, as you have feedback, let us know, and we're going to continue to iterate. But wanted to share a couple frequently asked questions regarding this process. First off, when can I register a deal? So you can register a deal for any qualified enterprise SKU. So this is going to be the Enterprise Fortress Gateway, the UXG Enterprise, Enterprise NVR. We have our Enterprise Campus switches. So that's going to be the aggregation switch. We've got the 24 and 48 port switch. And we're going to have a number of things coming later this year and into next, some access points, some cameras, the full gambit of solutions. How do you initiate a deal registration? So you can work with your normal rep on this. I believe that this will be automatically triggered once you add the device to your cart. But if not, you just can talk to your local rep. And if you still have issues, you can also reach out to us at partnerprogram@ui.com, and we'll help to make sure things are situated.
So Craig, we have a form that is being sent out when a customer is looking for the enterprise product. They will request it from their rep, or once they receive it, it's just a easy update that they just have to fill out the form for each deal that they're looking at.
Perfect. Awesome. Yeah. Thank you, Josh. So I guess perfect segue. What is the deal registration process? Obviously, once you have a qualified project with one of those registered SKUs, you can initiate that process. And ultimately, you're going to be entering in some basic information that's going to come directly to us at Ubiquiti. We're going to approve it usually within 24 hours. And then after that, you'll receive that qualified discount for the products. The last thing I want to touch on is why are we doing this? Really, it's simple. It is to make sure that discounting is reserved for value-added partners, right? As we're going into this higher lineup, right, we understand that there's going to be a higher quality of service required. So we want to make sure that these discounts are reserved for people that have a specific project that they are getting involved with and adding value to it. In terms of some of these professional services and adding value, I just wanted to take a minute and show some of the professional service offerings that we have. Obviously, we touched on the pre-sales, and we have a process. We work directly with DNH. There's also a direct line to us in case anything is going wrong. You hit some snags, you want some extra expertise. But we also do have professional 24-hour support. So this is something that you can, sell to the end users, and this ultimately will get you phone support from a direct, tier 2, more advanced networking engineers. They're great. We've got an office both in downtown Chicago and Stockholm, Sweden, that are covering this. For those of you who don't know, like the English is really great in Stockholm, Sweden too. They're really a tech hub in Europe. So the team's great. We have 24-hour coverage, but we have a couple of different plans. You can decide, do you want just Monday through Friday during business hours, or do you want that full 24/7 package? And that's, of course, an optional add-on. We do also have a 24/7 chat-based support as well. Last one is going to be UI Care. It's your extended product replacement plan. This is available for almost all products, but most importantly for these enterprise products, you can get this add-on there, and it's going to extend that replacement term to be 5 years, and you're going to get unlimited replacements. Compared to the standard RMA where you have to, ship back the old device first before you receive another one, this is going to come with an advanced replacement. So you go in, you enter your information, we'll ship the device right away, and we'll also include a return label for you to just slap it on and send the other unit back to us. So it's going to be free on that regard too. Just to cover the enterprise portfolio, I'm going to go through all of these products. At the end, I'm going to show you an ideal topology and kind of how they come into play with their high availability features. So if you're not sure some of the terms I'm using in here, just hold up, because we'll cover that at the end in how we fit them all together. So the first is the Enterprise Fortress Gateway. A lot of you probably know this one. It's been out for quite some time, but it's our highest capacity gateway right now. We've had it clocked in for almost 6,000 simultaneous clients, so it's definitely gonna have a lot of oomph in it. You can manage, I've seen well over 500 combined APs and switches. You're gonna get 23.5 gigs routing performance, but 12.5 once you enable your security features, so still have really solid bandwidth there. This is going to have some of the unique features like SSL inspection, and we've got some new features coming that'll also revolve around that, namely, like anti-malware sandboxing and stuff, which will be coming up soon. Key thing I want to point out about this is going to be that shadow mode VRRP gateway redundancy. And like I said, that's what we'll talk about here at the end, how these all come into play with each other. A recent release was our Enterprise Campus Aggregation Switch. This will be our highest capacity aggregation switch out there. We've got 4 terabytes of switching capacity, 2 terabytes per second non-blocking. We've got hot swappable fans, hot swappable power supplies, and we're going to have up to 100 gig links on this switch. Key thing here is we're going to support multi-chassis link aggregation at that core switching. Also in this enterprise campus switch lineup is going to be our access layer switches. So that's going to be our 24 and 48 port PoE switches. Similar thing, we're going to have hot swappable power supplies, hot swappable fans. This is going to support switch stacking, which has been a popular feature that we've requested. So really excited about that. Also, these are going to have 10 gig 90 watt PoE output ports too. So this is really going to future-proof your system for some of these newer enterprise Wi-Fi APs that we've got coming up, and generally just making sure that whatever PoE application you have, you're going to be more than prepared for. Last, also wanted to mention the Enterprise NVR. This has been out about a month now. So this is going to be our highest capacity network video recorder. You can get 70 4K cameras, 210 full HD cameras. It's got 16 drive bays, but this is really going to be pretty spatially efficient. It has the same capacity as 3 UNVR Pros. Those 3 UNVR Pros would take 6 U rack units. This is going to only take 3. So it's a big boy, but also much less space than the alternatives there. It again has hot swappable power supplies, and the big thing is that this actually will support link aggregation on its SFP ports there. So you can imagine that coming into that whole redundancy story. Sooner than later, I think you guys will hear. No surprise, I mentioned already, but we are going to have some enterprise access points coming up. Unfortunately, wasn't able to give specs just yet, but I would stay tuned. I think you'll be seeing those coming up, like I said, sooner than later. But now I wanted to just kind of go through how these different devices really fit together for a fully redundant network. Obviously, at the edge of your network, you have the Enterprise Fortress Gateway running shadow mode. Key thing here is that you have an active unit and a passive unit. And once that active unit goes down, everything will seamlessly transition to that standby unit. We use virtual router redundancy protocol, and we have connection state tracking in the firewall, which ultimately means that if any of your end users are on a Teams call, a webinar like this, that failover will be seamless and they won't drop the calls at all. Down at the core switching, those two enterprise campus aggregation switches could be set up in multi-chassis link aggregation. This is a similar concept, except both are active. And ultimately what you have is two physical bodies that form one logical unit. And you can create aggregation groups across those bodies. So what that means is you can, theoretically connect a link from each switch to maybe a high capacity server or NAS, and it's going to both load balance and fail over if a link, port, or whole switch goes down. That's going to remain connected. Again, like I mentioned, or that can connect to our enterprise NVR, which supports link aggregation there as well. You'd have those access layer switches, enterprise campus 24 or 48 port switches connected downstream of there. Once again, this switch stacking is a very similar concept to multi-chassis link aggregation. The whole idea is that you can take multiple switches and you can link them together in a ring topology. That way, if one of these switches goes down, the traffic can still flow in that other path that way. So that's really great there. From these access layer switches, that is where, there we go. That's where something like our enterprise access points will connect in. Our enterprise APs are actually going to have a redundant link. So you're going to get both power and data redundancy. So you can imagine, you have a stack of switches, and then connected to those, you have multiple links off the AP. So once again, it doesn't really matter where in your network. A link can fail, a port can fail, a full switch can fail, and no matter where that happens, you're going to still have full redundancy. So this is one of the key stories that we're trying to go for with some of these enterprise products. And once again, I think you're going to see this full stack as we continue to come out with more and more stuff and announce those later in 2025. So moving on to UniFi Network 9.0. Currently, we're on 8.6 as the official release, so wanted to share some features that are going to be coming out that I think are most relevant to maybe some of these higher end deployments. First, we've got a new zone-based firewalling architecture. So this is really cool because, some of you might know that our current firewall works on firewall chains. So ultimately, rules are dedicated to very specific subnets or VLANs, right? Even if you want to apply the same policies, you need to duplicate those policies for every single network that you have. That leads to a ton of rules. You have a laundry list to go through. It's just not, it doesn't feel good to deal with. But with this zone-based firewall, I'm not sure if you can see or if it's too small, but you can actually create zones and assign network interfaces to those zones. Those network interfaces might be, a VLAN, it might be a WAN interface, it can even be a VPN interface as well, which is also a new addition, right? But the key thing is, you can apply firewall rules to the whole zone so that one rule will apply to every interface in the zone. So that'll, reduce the amount of rules you have to create and manage. Super nice. And what I also really like is the matrix that it creates. This is going to show how traffic is allowed or not allowed to flow between zones. So it just makes it more intuitive to look at. And then if you click on one of these, it's going to automatically filter the rule set to that specific zone you clicked on. So again, just making it a little bit more streamlined to manage that. So just kind of to give an illustrative example here, we've got a couple of different zones with different interfaces inside. Notice here we have, this concept of identity users, remote workers. Keep that in mind. That wasn't by a mistake. We are actually going to be adding user and role based policy management as well. I think that's a direction you're going to continue to see us taking more. But the idea is simple, right? I have these zones and I want to create policies around those zones as a whole, right? I have my public server in my DMZ. I want to make sure incoming traffic can go there. Great, I can do that with a simple rule. But in the same line, I can make sure that unestablished traffic is not coming into my corporate network. I want to make sure that my remote workers or resource sharing that's happening across my site-to-site VPN is all good to go, but I want to make sure that guests are not able to connect to that corporate network, right? Key thing is I have all of these policies in place. I'm using rules scalably to apply to everything in that zone. And then if down the road I need to add a new interface, maybe I add my VoIP network here, I can just place it in that existing zone. I don't have to create any new rules. That's just going to inherit all of those rules that exist. So it's just really nice, really easy. You might have saw I misclicked here, but the next thing coming in Network 9.0 is going to be cybersecure, which is our new general cybersecurity service powered by Proofpoint. You guys probably already saw we have this new set of intrusion prevention signatures. We're actually going to take this is going to be the foundation, and we're going to wrap it into this cybersecure service. And cybersecure is going to really be our comprehensive and growing, evolving cybersecurity platform. So this is going to be great. Right now our current intrusion prevention package is specific to our higher end enterprise gateway, but once we wrap it into cybersecure, it's going to be scaled, and we're going to offer these new signature packages to all of our gateways. They will be scaled appropriately based on the specific gateway model and its resource availability. I believe you're going to see something around 40 to 50,000 signatures on our Cloud Gateway Ultra, scaling up to, well, I know this says 80, but we're closer to 90,000 on that Enterprise Fortress Gateway. Again, this is backed by Proofpoint's research team. We're enrolled in Microsoft Active Protections program, which ultimately means we get early access and visibility into new threats. So we continue to update these real time, not just new and emerging threats, but also updating existing signatures to better reflect the reality as we move forward. Another thing coming with this is for the Enterprise Fortress Gateway and those higher end systems, we're going to have real-time malware detection. So we're going to have anti-malware sandboxing. So this is really good for those undiscovered zero-day threats, right? Whereas these intrusion prevention signatures rely on having an existing signature to match that known threat. This will use, machine learning techniques to ultimately look at file downloads or email downloads and see if there's potentially malicious content in there. If so, it's going to create its own new signature off of it, and it's going to distribute those to the UniFi gateways as well. So once again, key thing here is this is really, I think, more showing our commitment to cybersecurity and taking it really serious and making sure it's available to all models to the extent that they can be supported. And I think that throughout 2025, you're going to see this continue to evolve and have more features wrapped up into it. Next part here is we're going to have some more SIM integration and enhanced logging. So a couple things. First off, We support NetFlow and IPFix now, so that's great. I tested it not too long ago. It works. It's working great, pretty streamlined. I think I actually set it up with Cloudflare. They have a free offering. It's pretty simple. If you guys are just looking to check this out and don't want to purchase a platform, you should take a look. Like I said, I was able to set it up in like 2 minutes. It was super, super easy. The big one, though, is going to be, that SIM server integration. And I think we're improving on a couple fronts here. First and foremost, we're making sure that everything in our UniFi system logs in the interface is going to be exported to this SIM server for long-term retention. Those logs are also being translated into a common event formatting, right? So ultimately giving these SIMs ability to more easily parse them out. And lastly, we're really taking account of metadata and making sure that the data that we do include with these logs is going to be relevant based on how you're actually trying to use these. So an example that always comes to mind is PCI and HIPAA compliance. We're trying to really streamline this and make it easier for you. So taking things like admin access logs, right? Not only are we going to say, Craig accessed the network or Craig changed these configurations, but we're going to include data about, where are they doing it from? Is it the local network? If not, what's their public IP address? What time did this happen, right? So that you can really pin down and trace and audit that access or change log event. Also at the bottom, you can see API support. For those of you who didn't know, we do have a site manager API. This is more of a general overview, so you can see all of your UniFi sites. Is it up? What is the internet health, right? It's more intended as an overview, but we're actually going to be moving to introduce APIs to a more granular level within specific sites so that you can extract data or programmatically change things within a given, network or protect instance. So that'll be coming too. Next up is we're going to have a number of improvements on the Site Magic and SD-WAN side. First and foremost is a new hub and spoke topology. So currently our Site Magic works on a mesh VPN, right? It's a one-click system. You can go and say, I want to interconnect these 5 UniFi sites, and it'll form a mesh and create a site-to-site VPN there. That's currently limited to 15 sites. But with the hub and spoke, we're going to be able to have up to 1,000 tunnels on the Enterprise Fortress Gateway. And I think more importantly, just from a security standpoint, this hub and spoke topology is going to better align with how people are using this, right? Namely, accessing that central data center or HQ, or maybe using it as a proxy to certain cloud applications. But I guess with that in mind, talking about accessing it for specific reasons, we've also introduced policy-based routing rules that are applicable to VPN interfaces. So ultimately what this means is that instead of sending all traffic through this VPN tunnel, I can say, I want GitHub traffic to flow through this VPN tunnel, right? And we've added a lot of different things to make it flexible. I know a lot of you are using maybe your own third-party zero trust networking provider, and you need to send all traffic to their zero trust exchange. Well, now you can do that. You can create a rule that says send all internet-bound traffic here, right, and send it through the IPsec tunnel, linking you up with that provider. Or if you're just trying to get something to funnel into your own HQ or proxy it to a cloud, then you can also create a more specific rule to accommodate that. And this is going to be available both on Site Magic and your typical IPsec VPNs. Last one is going to be expanded dynamic routing, namely BGP on the UniFi gateways. So I guess in the same vein, right? Say you're sending traffic to your HQ. Well, you can use that and use Site Magic to easily connect those sites and get traffic there. Once it gets to your HQ, you can use BGP to peer with some of those SaaS or cloud applications so that you can get the traffic there with lower latency and ultimately a better end user experience as well. So my favorite part is actually, our direction here to get more into, this idea of zero trust networking, user-based policies, group-based policies, and really scaling this out. So we are going to be introducing identity endpoint as a free option. You guys might have seen it. This is already in early access, but we're going to have directory syncs along with this so that you can sync users to your identity application and then ultimately send out emails to all of the employees so that that really serves as their digital credential. So you're going to have one-click access to VPN, to Wi-Fi, and you can give door access. And although it is limited to directories services in 9.0, what we're doing, and you should see it in Q1 of 2025, is we're actually creating this idea of an identity hub, which will allow you to completely integrate with identity providers using SAML and their third-party SSO and globally manage permissions for all users across many sites. So this is some of the stuff that currently requires Identity Enterprise to do a paid plan, but we're actually going to take this all, we're going to put it in our own, identity hub concept, and we're going to really streamline this and make sure that it's really, really, really good user experience to create this identity sync and globally orchestrate your users, and it's going to be completely free too. So just to kind of illustrate how that concept works, right? You have your cloud gateway, maybe it has some on-premise applications, you're using that HQ as a proxy to the cloud, right? How this whole identity concept works is that you can sync with a directory service. That's going to automatically trigger emails to be sent to users. This can be real time on first setup, or if you onboard new users, it will detect that new user and it's going to send out that email. That's going to prompt them to download the identity endpoint application. Next year or early next year, they're going to be able to sign on using that identity provider SSO. So if you're already using, Entra, Azure AD, however you want to call it, your employee will be able to sign in with there. You can enforce the multi-factor authentication, of course, because we're just using SAML to go back to that central provider that you have. They'll have access permissions that you gave them programmatically, right? Based on maybe their office location, their user group, right? You'll be able to control all of this. And then the key thing is they don't need to know anything. They don't need to know VPN credentials. They don't need to know Wi-Fi credentials. With the click of a button, they can establish their VPN tunnels. You as the admin can easily select what traffic goes over the VPN, right? We talked about this concept of policy-based routing. You can make sure that the relevant traffic goes to that HQ and maybe it's going to that on-premise storage or the cloud. Whatever it is, it doesn't matter. You're able to very easily control that. Your end user is going to be happy because it just works. They don't need to know anything. You can avoid support calls, and the business people are going to be happy because it's all free. Just a couple of case studies to kind of point out. Some of you might have seen it. We have the Enterprise Fortress Gateway and actually the Enterprise Campus Aggregation switches running at the FedEx Forum. So they've clocked, into 6,000 simultaneous clients, but they're running all of this full stack UniFi, not just networking, but protect door access. So they're running the whole gambit to power the NBA stadium. We've got a video. I won't go into that now, but just showing you, this stuff is super powerful, incredibly capable. One more I wanted to touch on. We hosted a conference in Miami not too long ago, and we had a gentleman who spoke, and they were using UniFi in some nursing homes. I just wanted to highlight this because I thought it was a pretty interesting use case. They had, their EFGs, they had just under 200 APs. But what I really liked is that they were using our PPSK Wi-Fi, private pre-shared key. Ultimately, what that means is they have one Wi-Fi SSID and assigned a bunch of different VLANs so that each resident had their own private VLAN to that same network. So I thought that was a really cool case. I know that they use that feature a lot, so thought that this was just a unique one to highlight. Obviously, it's a medical facility, so they have all of the HIPAA compliance and everything, and we can handle that no problem there. Quick look at their topology. Some of the server racks. And yeah, I guess just to kind of end things off, I wanted to leave it on some of our resources pages here, just going over some things that I think are typically helpful, whether you're just getting into the UniFi ecosystem or just need a little bit more help. We have our design center where you can upload floor plans, draw walls in, and ultimately see how the coverage is going to look with Wi-Fi, placing switches and even cameras. What does the field of view look like? We have our tech specs page for more in-depth specifications of each product. Our help center, I think we've been working on improving this quite a bit too. We've got a lot of documentation, setup and troubleshooting articles, but we also have our UniFi GPT. I think that this is really, really good, and honestly, I think kind of underused for getting a ballpark of what items are. So it's really good at introducing you to the UniFi ecosystem. And, you say, hey, I'm looking to set up a hospital with this much square foot. Like, it'll give you pretty solid recommendations ranging from, what cloud gateway do I need? Do I need to consider an NVR for extra camera capacity? What APs should I use? Roughly how many APs, right? It's just a really good quick stop there if you need to guesstimate some equipment. We've got our newsletter if you wanna stay up to date on just new releases, new products, all that. And if you want more information on our UI Care Extended Protection or our site support there's also some links so you can check it out. But yeah, with that, wanted to open it up, see if we have any questions.
All right, thanks, Craig. This is great. We do have a couple questions. Kurt asks a question: is Ubiquiti working on any integrated SASE solution?
We are definitely going in the direction of having user-based policies and kind of enforcing that zero trust using your centralized identity provider. We're working on things for more scalable orchestration across multi-site for those users, and also the SD-WAN solution. So yeah, I would say that in general, we are definitely working in that direction.
Okay, thank you. I got a question. I'm not sure if you can answer this or not. I'm gonna ask it, and we might need more details. But Raj asks a question: any advice on package for building contractors? Yeah, I'm thinking that we. I'm sorry. Go ahead, Craig.
Yeah, I was just gonna say I think it depends what sizes you're doing and what the setup is. So yeah, if you want to connect or maybe we follow up via email, I'm happy to give some stuff. But I'd say it depends, right? If you're talking about mid-size stuff, and I typically like the Dream Machine Pro as a starting point because it's going to run all of the applications. I think for most places, it's going to have more than enough bandwidth to support things. You're going to get about 3.5 gigs routing, even with all of your security features enabled. You can start to hook up cameras. If you need additional cameras or higher capacity, you can just add on an appropriate network video recorder. That network video recorder will give you cameras and door access. So it does do both. That's one thing I've seen some people who weren't aware of. Yeah, I would assume that it'll give you more than enough ability to manage plenty of APs and switches. You'll get about 75 APs and switches that you can manage on that. And I'd say maybe 750 simultaneous clients. If you're within that, get the Dream Machine Pro. And then an appropriate NVR based on how many cameras.
Raj, if you have more questions, feel free to reach out to Ubiquiti specialists at dnh.com. We can go through. We have not only do we have sales engineers that are happy to help, we can also maybe pull in another conversation with Craig, and we can kind of look through a package that might work best for you. So David asks, is there an intention to add more power redundancy options or expansions since the current options are limited on power storage?
Yes, it is top of mind.
So Chris asked a question, which I think we can both answer together. Are you working on supply? Ubiquiti can be hard to get sometimes. So from a D&H standpoint, we are ordering. We are trying to keep as much product in as we can. And from a conversation we had about 2 weeks ago with Ubiquiti, they are working diligently to try to fix the supply issues that that you guys are seeing. And Craig, if you want to go into any more detail, but we both are aware of the issues, and we are trying our best to fix this.
Yeah, and I think we're coming at it from two angles. We do actually have several general improvements we're working on. I unfortunately can't say much, just public company and that whole legal gambit that I'm not aware of. But yes, we're addressing like some things logistically. Also, from the enterprise perspective, these are higher end products, and there's limited sources that they can come from, right? So I think that you're going to just generally see more availability on these higher end products in general. And like as you're working on larger projects and you say, hey, shoot, I know that I have this large project coming up on this date, like let us know sooner than later. I can't make any guarantees, but like if we know, then we can take the steps to try to, address them.
Sorry, I'm just reading the next one. I was
No problem.
I was listening to your answer. Okay, here's a good question. Is there an email for us to point out issues we have that still require the legacy UI, or have you given up adding everything and just leaving the status quo? Sorry, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I'd be curious what it is, but in general, the best path would be to open a support ticket, account.ui.com/mysupport. We have a process in play for like everything ranging from bug reporting to issue management and even, general feature improvements, things that are missing. So yeah, that would be the best path.
Question based on the enterprise product that was brought up. If our primary client base wouldn't benefit of the higher level enterprise hardware, is there any other benefits to deploying the enterprise hardware for these clients?
Mainly redundancy. I think in addition to those redundant power supplies, fans, hot swappable, it's really going to support that full stack of redundancy.
And then adding to the enterprise question, how does the enterprise portfolio compare to Meraki's hardware and software offerings for switching and access points? Are you offering increased incentives for competitive takeouts? Will you have any training for selling against competitive solutions from Cisco Meraki?
Yeah, so I would say from the last time I looked, I think that we are at the very least on par with the hardware. I believe that most of the stuff is more. I know that EFG can overtake the, what is it, 100, 400, whatever. Yeah, sorry, I forgot the names. I haven't looked at the switching, but yeah, I think that we've got really high end products for that. We don't have any specific incentives right now in terms of feedback on selling to it. Yeah, we're working on some stuff and putting together just general content that I'm sure that you can probably leverage. But I think after the webinar, we're going to send out kind of just a little, 3-4 question survey asking, product thoughts, like do you feedback you want to see, but also in terms of content. So if there's specific things you want to see, definitely put it on there.
Steve asks another question. Are there plans to allow inserting multiple firewalls into one company/unit so that we can share configuration paths?
I'm not sure what you mean. Are you like looking for a concept of like templating things so that you have one management plane for those different firewalls, or yeah, I'd be curious on that.
So Steve, why don't you send me an email in regards to that, and I'll work with Craig on an answer then for that. We are using Cisco Umbrella. Will CyberSecure be able to replace this for us?
I guess it depends what you're exactly doing. If I'm not mistaken, the Cisco Umbrella is more related to like kind of content and domain based filtering. Cybersecure will be, based on intrusion prevention signatures. So rather than looking at the domain and saying, hey, is this associated with a harmful domain? We're actually going to look at more details. So not just domain, but also any range of metrics, right? It can be, what is this domain? What is this IP address? What are the sequence numbers on this flow of traffic? What is the payload size on this, right? There's a number of things that it'll do. The anti-malware sandboxing, similar, it's going to protect you from downloads. I think that sort of stuff goes beyond the scope of the domain because the domain will come prior to that in the networking stack. But speaking of domain, we do have some stuff we're looking at in early 2025 that will be a more comprehensive content filtering. Our application aware firewall already has, you can put in domains and block them, but you're going to see a more comprehensive content filtering where you can select from a lot of different categories, block, allow, create custom categories, stuff like that. I would say yes, collectively that will more than exceed.
So a lot of questions about marketing, PDFs, PNGs. Is there any other marketing products that we can submit? I know I saw some from I saw one from the partner portal. Is there more that is available to customers? Any more case studies or anything like that?
I would say if anybody has feedback about marketing material, there will be a mini survey right after this. Like I said, couple questions, it'll take like a minute. Put it in there. We'll review that, and yeah, we'd love to make more content. We just want to make sure that it's going to be beneficial. So if you can say, yeah, here's the stuff we would like. Bonus points if you can say like what you would be using it for, like how it would be beneficial, any examples that you like. Right, just help us understand the use case, and I think that we can try our best to get you something that'll be useful for that.
And looks like that's all the questions that we can give. There's a couple other ones that I'm going to go into more details directly with the customers. But it looks like that's a good amount of questions.
Awesome.
So the partner program, let's maybe we can discuss that a little bit more. So I know from my point of view where we submit the form, customers can go directly to Ubiquiti and become an enterprise partner program. Sign up for the partner program. That's on UI.com. Is there a designated website or a link that we can send everyone?
So Honestly, so if you're already working through D&H, you are in great shape and you have nothing else to worry about, right? The deal registrations come directly to us. What we have on our website is more for people who, you know, are like, hey, I'm not working with anybody, like help me connect with a partner, right? But if since you guys are already set up, you're good to go, right? You submit your info on the deal, and that registration will come right through us, and we give you the approval, right? We ultimately wanted to make this very easy for you, right? We're not trying to make this some logistical nightmare. Once again, going back, our goal is to make sure that value added partners are getting additional help so that they can sell these and be more profitable, right? So our focus is on that. We want to make it streamlined.
Perfect. One last question that I did see, the NAS. So that you guys just came out with the NAS devices. When should we be seeing those available?
I would imagine, don't quote me on it, but I would imagine within the next couple of weeks.
Okay. And that's on your site, right? Or are we
Yes.
expecting it through distribution? When should we
Both.
expect it through
Both.
distribution?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, both.
And yes, Justin, you can submit it through your D&H account manager or directly to Ubiquiti specialists at dnh.com for deal registrations.
Uh,
The
should
the
I see a
Yeah,
couple more questions. I think I can rapid fire some.
go for it, Craig.
When will UniFi Identity Enterprise plan be available in Canada? So what I'm talking about, this whole idea in the direction we're moving, it'll be available everywhere simultaneously. Currently on early access version, we have this directory sync. What you will see going into 2025 is a multi-site use case as well as SAML integration, so you can have users log in with their SSO related to Entra or whatever platform you're using. Is there any plans to enhance traffic logging to get more detailed information what is moving through the gateways? Yes, we have NetFlow and IPFix support already there so that you can export those. We're looking at also putting like more detailed logs into the interface. No plan specifically when that one will be. Is Ubiquiti going away with the self-hosted UniFi network? No, we will always support that. We want to give you the flexibility. There's plenty of people who want to self-host it themselves. We like UniFi consoles because we think that they're easy to just toss in and things just work. Historically, there were reasons that you might want to self-host, right? Like some nuances around how admins and permissions work, but we've since done away with those. So now all of the admin and management and all of that works the same, just directly on unifi.ui.com. But even so, if you want to use self-hosted network, like you're good to go. What type of VPN protocols? So we have, for site to site, we have IPsec, we have OpenVPN. Our one-click, Site Magic VPN works using WireGuard in the background. It's all, call it Automagic. You click a button, it's WireGuard tunnels. OSPF is used for routing in the background, so it's just going to take the shortest path. If a link goes down, it will find a redundant path there as well. Zones and cybersecure only part of enterprise, or will it be moved to everything? Yeah, both zones and cybersecure will be available on all devices. We are wondering if there will be a MSP design support portal. We have some stuff in the works, and we'll probably have an early access program later this year designed specifically for MSPs.
Great. All right. So the product or the this will be available on www.dnh.com/solutionslab in about 24 hours. So please be on the lookout for that. If you have any questions, feel free to email myself, jbailey@dnh.com, or you can use the Ubiquiti specialist at dnh.com. I check both of them and respond to both of them as quickly as possible. The next Solutions Lab webcast is 11/21 at 2 p.m. Unlocking Business Potential with HPE Smart Choice, Performance, Security, and Flexibility, featuring Jim Stevens and Eric Smith and Mark. Mark, we're just gonna go Mark. So visit the Solutions Lab website if you are interested in any of that stuff. And thank you guys. Thanks everyone for all the great questions, and thanks for joining, and thank you, Craig, for the time that you spent with us, and I'm looking forward to hearing from everyone, and looking forward to growing this business together.
Yeah, likewise. My last words, appreciate everyone for being here. I would definitely recommend, please fill out the survey after, mainly because we want to know, number one, what sort of content you want to do. We'd like to keep up at least a quarterly cadence of doing this with D&H customers. So like, let us know what's going to be helpful for you, whether it's just a webinar, whether you say, hey, we need more stuff on the help center, like tell us what you want to see, marketing material, right? Everything there. And product side, right? Like I'm assuming most people here are using UniFi at least to some extent. If you're not, like, tell us why, right? Like, are we missing a feature? Do you have a specific use case you want to see? Like, is there some other professional service that's keeping you out? Like, tell us the feedback. We want to engage more, learn about where we can improve, and yeah, continue improving and growing together.
Great. Thanks a lot. Thank you, everyone. Enjoy the rest of your day.
Take it easy, everyone. Bye-bye.